Hello everybody. I've just finished filming the Q&A actually, as of about an hour ago. One of the questions reminded me of a video that I wanted to check out. It's titled Adam Scott Breaks Down 10 of Severance's Biggest Moments. It's by GQ, and this intrigued me because I wanted to see from actually someone who works on the show what they perceive as some of the biggest moments and how they had to film it and the complexities behind that. So come along with me, I'm going to take a look at this and then I'll give my 2 cents as we go along. Come on.
Who are you?
Such a good opening shot. It's so eerie.
Hello? That shot of Helly on the table is so beautiful. And I feel like I've seen it a lot, you know, kind of grabbed on social media and stuff, because it is just this beautifully composed frame and it's really kind of visually striking and it's kind of embryonic too. I just always found it interesting. And the very first words spoken on the show are, "Who are you?" which I think is a pretty central question thematically for the whole series thus far.
I also love that shot. It's perfectly framed where the rug is like perfectly lined up with the edge of the shot. I find that so satisfying. There is no need for them to be that specific, and they have been, and I just adore it every time I see it.
Hi GQ, I'm going to run you through the best moments of Severance according to GQ. This is GQ, and I'm Adam Scott.
Yeah.
Fuck. You skipped the preamble. Shit.
I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. Mark, on the other end of that little intercom system, is fumbling and trying to figure out what the hell he's doing, just as lost or similarly lost and displaced as Helly is.
Are you seeing this?
I'm watching.
Should I help?
You should not.
It's so interesting to now know that that's not only we're looking at the founder, like not only that we're looking at the creator of the chip itself, watching it play out in real time, she's watching it play out in an Egan, who is the family that's taken the idea from her in the first place. It's absurd. It's so good. It's just genius.
Mark,
Mark.
you're good people.
I remember reading the first episode for the first time and that being the final beat and just thinking like, oh shit, this is wild and this is interesting, and it's sort of a peek into just how nefarious this world could be and how clever this show could be. I mean, with Patricia, you're never quite sure what she's going to do, both with Cobell and Selvig, which is great because they're entirely different relationships on the inside and on the outside. But in both circumstances, both Innie-Mark and Outie-Mark are sort of unsettled and not knowing what the hell this person's going to do or say.
It's so good. The way she plays that, where she just drops her face at the end where the smile fades, is so good. So cute.
Goats don't care about cameras and lights and hitting marks. They just want to eat your shoelaces and walk around and poop on the floor. They're adorable and very sweet animals. And now I can say that I've worked with goats quite a bit on camera. They're a steadfast co-star of mine. They are running around and you never know quite what they're going to do or what noises they're going to make while you're trying to get your dialogue out. I think for the actual dialogue, we would wait until the goats were out of range and then shoot whatever dialogue we had to do.
It isn't time.
But get the hell out of here. Although the man that's in there kind of feeding a goat, he did have to, I believe he had to say all his dialogue with an actual baby goat nursing.
They always say don't work with animals or children, but I suppose with a goat you're working with both. A kid, no, and a goat. Sorry, it's just me trying to make a shitty joke. Sorry. I tried, man. I tried. Oh.
Tamaraka. Excellent choice.
The delivery is brilliant.
Tamaraka. Excellent choice.
Should have gone for the castanets.
I choose Defiant Jazz.
The MDE was something that Mark had heard about but never experienced. And so the moment Milchick says that this is the treat we're in for, I think excitement starts sort of rumbling through the room. Ben Stiller, who was directing that episode, I believe, had not told us they had outfitted disco lights in the office.
That's
And so when that switched on, that's a very real reaction from all of us. Because we've been working in this environment for months, and, you know, just like a real office, it gets pretty trying after a while. It's a fun show to make, but that environment can get a little stale. So when disco lights suddenly come on, it is quite exciting. Tramel's an incredible dancer. Oh my God. None of us knew what Tramel had been working on, and getting to see him do that, and getting to see him do it a lot. I mean, we shot that for a couple of days. It was amazing.
Just knowing they shot that for a couple of days. I think I'd go into a seizure if I had to be over those lights for a couple of days. You forget, like, something that is literally 3 or 4 minutes of a show, they film for days. Like, for some reason I always forget it. I don't know why, I just forget how long. Movies take ages to film, but TV shows, the sheer amount of content they have to film, I just forget how long it takes. I know it's silly of me, but I do. Oh. The way I thought she was going to get stuck in that door.
In case we don't come back. No, I don't know, in case we do.
I think that up until that moment, Mark hadn't experienced those kinds of feelings at all. So it took him a while to recognize and name it, and kind of, you know, find a way to express it. And it kind of takes Helly to guide him there a bit. It's 100% takes Helly to do it, because I don't think Mark knows what to do in that moment, but knows that nothing will, you know, be the same after this.
I think it's a really good way of putting it, because Helly does have to guide him. I think that's why the scene where they have the tent, not the Ortbo tent, where Helly makes a makeshift tent, and he's then guiding her this time around. I think that's why it's so sweet, because it's a complete 180 on the initial kissing. Yeah, Mark, I don't think Mark would have a clue what to do. I don't think Mark doesn't have a clue, I don't think. He hadn't had any feelings at all, hadn't he? Because I thought when he knocked the coffee cup over, although maybe he was having feelings towards Helly because he felt sorry for her, but he didn't know what that really was. Maybe, yeah, that's true, actually. The OTC. Oh my God.
What?
I said, are you alright?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I tell you what, watch Irv's transition, because I've always been focused on Mark and Helly, back to Mark and Helena. I've never really focused on Irv. This is really interesting. Watch Irv.
What?
I said, are you alright?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Like, he's confused,
Maybe you
but...
should talk to your sister. It's an important decision.
My sister.
Yes. Mark?
Yeah.
Mark?
Be sure you're okay.
Mark?
Yes, I'm sorry. I just I got a little woozy, and I'm gonna stop by the bathroom.
I think it's the other way.
When we were shooting that, it was a matter of figuring out what to focus on, because any Mark being in the outside world, it's plausible that he would react to everything. He walks outside to talk to Rickon, and we had to, make a decision. Like, it's the first time he sees the sky. Is he going to take a moment and, like, take that in? And, like, we had to pick and choose, and it ended up being, we need to focus on the task at hand. And I think for all the characters, there's a certain amount of that. The mission is so important.
I'm so sorry. I'm on uncle duty for my sister, so I'll be right back. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Miss Cobell.
That's the big moment when he accidentally calls.
See, okay, so I haven't gone back and looked at this since seeing the Sweet Patrol episode. I haven't really gone back and looked at season 1. Now you know what's just happened. She's obviously realised that's Innie Mark, but now you know why she realises it so quickly. Of course you do.
Miss Cobell.
Because
That's the big moment when he accidentally calls.
it makes sense now. Okay.
Selvig Cobell, that Patricia and Ben and I were talking that night we were shooting it. Like, if we've got them at this point, episode 9, if they're with us, this is going to be so fun. When I accidentally say Cobell, that's going to be so fun. There's so much kind of architecture to get us to that point that needs to work in order for that moment to work.
Yeah.
Sorry if I'm distracting you from
what?
I'm looking for your wife.
Now you can see it's Helena. But at the time, you're still doubting whether or not if that's Helen. But now it's clearly Helena. Of course it is.
Hey, it's okay.
I don't know why. I don't like the way he says that. I don't know why.
Hey, it's okay.
It's got like a creepiness to it. I don't know why.
Helped so much.
Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is? It's the same manipulative. Hang on. The same manipulative. There we go. Tone that he uses when he's using the camcorder to talk to Innie Mark.
Hey, it's okay. I know we'll find her, and you've already helped so much.
Do you know what I think?
Filming
it's like
scenes like
I don't
that is
know.
always challenging because it's, you want to create as much intimacy as possible, and it's a really important, complicated moment in the show. Ben treated it just perfectly and with so much sensitivity. It was basically Ben, the intimacy coordinator, and then Britt and I. He cleared everyone out and operated the camera himself.
Ben mentioned that he might have, did he fall on you?
Yeah, he did fall on us. He did at one point. Those cameras are heavy, and he's in there by himself for a few hours operating. And yeah, he fell on top of us. So it was like this doggy pile of 3 people in a tent. It was like something that would happen in a Ben Stiller movie. If he was playing a cameraman, of course he would fall on the 2 actors while they're doing a love scene. Mark is, completely in love with Helly, or who he believes is Helly, and doesn't know exactly what it is 2 people are supposed to do in a situation like this, but there is a certain amount of human instinct that sort of takes over.
It's clear that it's Helena now.
I'm like the head of the company, Mark.
It makes me cringe because it's also quite a sweet scene because they're genuinely trying to like flirt, but she's so bad at it.
I'm like the head of the company, Mark.
Oh.
Right. Dumb, sorry.
Yeah, you should be sorry.
Really?
I'm kidding.
Okay.
You're clearly not dumb.
I don't know. You're the one who invented a revolutionary medical procedure.
Hey, now that was not me. That was my father.
Uh-huh.
No, it wasn't.
You should meet him sometime.
It's funny because that scene, we were talking about it as the heat scene throughout the season, knowing it was coming in episode 6. Before it was even written, it was like the heat scene, thinking about the scene in Heat where Al Pacino and Robert De Niro have that scene in the middle of the movie. We're thinking about Helena Egan and Audi Mark, you know, this big kind of event of them actually being face to face. I think it's interesting, and I think there is something going on there that's hard to define and maybe unexpected. I'm not sure either of them expected it to take the shape that it did. And you want to take me home to Dad already?
Yeah, I think it's finally time.
Okay, sure, let's do it.
You'd be the first.
It's no pressure.
Yeah, none whatsoever.
The head of the company is following him when he's out trying to eat, at least for him, making these sort of veiled threats.
And I know you've already been through so much with losing your wife and all. Hannah.
Gemma, he starts to feel like they are closing in, so they need to hurry up and get this done. They need to make this happen. He needs to get her the hell out of there, or it's going to be too late.
Yeah, but there is like a flirty energy there, isn't there? There is, and it's odd. Because I think Adam's right. I don't think either of the characters expect it. I think Helena's going there to speed up the process and get the job done. But then when she gets there, she gets really flirty with him. But then is she just doing that to manipulate him? I don't know. I don't think she is. I think she wants a bit of Mark's carrot. Anyway, let's carry on. Jesus.
Hey,
Oh, this is so good.
well, I guess you know who I am. I think you've spoken with Devin and Miss Gobel. So you know what it is that we're asking.
Amy Mark and Audi Mark have been on a bit of a collision course through season 2. In order for Audi Mark to get what he wants and the pace of reintegration and the danger of reintegration make it that that's not going to get him there. So this conversation has to take place. The important thing is that the conversation takes some unpredictable turns and that the conversation feel dynamic in one way or the other. And it is important that Audi Mark overplay his hand a little bit and that any Mark becomes a little more savvy because of the conversation.
Kelly, actually. Kelly.
It's a person I'm in love with.
Which you'd know if you'd ever taken an interest in my life.
Before tonight when you need something. While we were shooting, I was recording on the...
I'm really sorry to stop it. Tell me he doesn't look like Tom Cruise there. I can't get over how much Adam looks like Tom Cruise in that shot. If I said to you, who is that? Let me put it zoomed in on the screen. If I said to you, who's that? You'd say Tom Cruise, right? Tell me he doesn't look like Tom Cruise. I don't know why I'm looking like I'm going to see it here. Tell me he looks like Tom Cruise. That looks like Tom Cruise.
It's a person I'm in love with.
Tell me that if you said to me that was Tom Cruise, I'd believe you. Oh my God. I'll zoom it in on here. Tell me that doesn't look like Tom Cruise. Right? You'll see it. Please tell me you're seeing that. That's a double for Tom Cruise. Is he Tom Cruise? If you said to me that was a shot from Mission Impossible, I'd believe you. I'd put money on it.
I was recording on the camera so we could then take those and use those, but we did so many versions of each piece of the conversation so Ben could have an array of options to play with in the edit. And because it was such a delicate thing, and when you're not working with another actor, that you're not reacting to something that's actually happening. So I really wanted to react in a variety of ways so he could cut together something that felt like a real flow of a conversation.
What is it like transitioning between one sort of version of your character to another version of character?
Yeah, so it depends on the day that we're shooting the show. I mean, sometimes I would do like Innie in the morning and Audi in the afternoon, just depending on what we're doing. Certainly, like, there's like a posture and, you know, some like voice is a difference in the people-pleasing side of me has a different register than if I'm just being real, like at home with my family. If I'm talking to an authority figure, I speak differently. And I remember my mom like commenting on that once when I was a kid, and it bothering me that she was like nailing me on this and being like, no, there's not, but there is. And so for any mark, that's sort of what I use, I guess. It's like code switching, and I think, we all do that. We should just rename the show Code Switching.
Because you realise, like, that Gemma thinks that's outie Mark. She's got no idea that he's severed, so she just thinks that's her husband running off with another woman.
That was another thing that was kind of decided early on, that this is how the season was going to end. I mean, I love how the kind of the last sort of frame is this image of these two people that are, they've made this pretty big game time decision. It's a painful moment, and they are filled with hope and possibility and excitement. But that last moment where we kind of freeze on them, I think there's a lot of, what are we going to do now? And then sometimes it was like, well, we don't have to end it there. It can be something else, but it just felt so kind of right.
Is that Helly or is it Helena? Is it Helly or is it Helena? I don't know. I don't know. There was another video that just popped up here. Ben Stiller and Adam Scott break down Severance. Yeah, come on. I've got to watch this right now. I've got to.
I always knew when someone would come up to me and say, what was your favorite color of Gatorade again? And I would just know, like, we're doing some more running tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Ben Stiller.
I'm Adam Scott.
And this is Notes on a Scene for Severance Season 2. This is the first scene of Season 2, picking up any Mark, the second after he said she's alive. And when he comes back to consciousness and he's in the elevator at Lumen with this new information.
He's looking for Miss Casey's room, right? Yeah. This was so
I remember asking you, like, what do you think your first instinct would be?
Yeah, and I just thought I would just run and try to find Miss Casey, who is Gemma in the outside world, tell her this information, see if she knows anything. I don't even think consciously has a plan of any sort. He just needs to find her.
That was sort of the impetus for the idea of the shot, and then it immediately made me think, well, we could do sort of an homage to our first Innie shot with Mark in Season 1, where we meet him on the inside and he walks through all the hallways to get to NPR. So we thought, why don't we do like a souped up, version of this, running as fast as he can through all the crazy hallways of Lumens. So basically, this is like our Zolly move that we used to show the transition from Innie to Outie or Outie to Innie. If it's Outie to Innie, the camera's zooming out on Adam while it's pushing in to end up with a wider lens image of Adam. If it's going from Innie to Outie, it's starting in on a wider lens and going out and zooming in. So the camera's pushing back, but the lens is getting tighter. This is not something that we invented. Alfred Hitchcock used it in Vertigo. Steven Spielberg, one of the greatest shots in film history, in Jaws. And then what Adam does with his eyes. How do you do that with your eyes?
I just roll them back.
Right.
That was actually your idea. We did a lot of trial and error trying to figure out how exactly to portray this transition from Outie to Innie or vice versa. You had the idea of the eyes maybe rolling back, and that seemed to work, and we just eventually found it.
And there's your change in your sort of physicality from the Innie to the Outie or the Outie to the Innie.
The difference, I guess, between Innie and Outie Mark is where we started was Innie Mark is like 2.5 years old. Outie Mark has kind of the weight of the world on his shoulders and is just in this period of his life where he's sort of more kind of weighed down and
like me.
It doesn't have great posture. Like me too. I have terrible posture. And then Innie Mark is kind of brand new to the world, and
like
believes in this company and just is sort of everything's forward thinking.
And every time you would do the transition from Audi Mark to Indy Mark, I'd always kind of like do it myself.
You would?
Yeah, because I realized
it's funny. I've just made myself like shift my posture when he was talking about it. Yeah, it's funny. You do sometimes like pick up on the innies and the outies. Like I found that I would sort of I'd mirror them sometimes when I was watching the show a little bit. I'd kind of mirror behaviour. It really gets under your skin. They're very good at making these like innies, which are only part of a human, very full humans. It's very clever how they do it for me.
And just is sort of everything's forward thinking.
And every time you would do the transition from Audi Mark to Indy Mark, I'd always kind of like do it myself.
You would?
Yeah, because I realized I have such bad posture. There was this piece of equipment called a bolt arm that we had actually experimented with in season 1 to do the severed transition and decided it was too big and kind of cumbersome. And it's a motion control robotic arm that can really do these precise moves with the camera. And it's a very big piece of equipment, but it has a long arm. And so basically this opening shot on Adam, if I was the base of the bolt arm, I'm here and it has an arm like this and it kind of goes around behind Adam as he walks out and pushes behind him.
It's huge.
Yeah, and it's scary because once it's programmed, you can't really stop it.
Right.
So there are a lot of safety checks you do beforehand.
Yeah, we had to rehearse it many times,
Yeah.
so I knew exactly where to be at any given moment because this thing would just go right through.
Yeah, we don't like to use visual effects too much in the show in terms of creating backgrounds and environments, but we needed to for this shot because of the bolt arm taking up all this space. So really, like everything you see here behind Adam, this is all computer generated.
Oh, wow.
And really, when he comes out, that's all green screen behind him. And then the bolt arm's going around Adam's head here, and then pushing behind him. This is all real, but then here, all of this is all computer generated behind Adam also.
And you did that because you needed that room?
Because the bolt arm is over here, and there's like a big piece of equipment the camera's on, so this all had to be recreated.
Oh, wow. See, that to me is the perfect example of CGI, is you literally need it to create what already would be there, but it's so perfectly done you never thought it was CGI in the first place. That's so clever. Holy shit. That's
now right
all
there is
CGI.
about where the transition happens to the next piece of the shot. So now we're on this sort of pogo stick gimbal that we had a great camera operator who was strong and tall and was running, chasing you down the hallway.
Why did you choose that rather than Steadicam?
It's just too hard to run this fast with a Steadicam because the Steadicam's connected to the waist of the operator on a whole gyroscope arm. It's very cumbersome. So to run full speed, it's easier for cameraman to hold a lightweight camera on a kind of a stick that he can just literally be running full speed, chasing you. And if it was the opposite, when he's running away from you, then he has to be holding it behind him. So
and he was going really fast.
Yeah. That's what Jeff Richmond, our editor, called the Superman, where Mark opens up that. And we realized we had to pick a moment,
At some
right?
point, I had to unbutton the jacket.
Yeah.
And you were like, just do it on that first straight
We'll
hallway.
get it over with. It's going to be a long run.
It's so... Also, you see we're running past loads of doors. I wonder if any more of that will be explored in season 3, and there'll be like hidden rooms that we haven't looked at yet, that Mark has run past,
The 10 or so different pieces of this shot were done across 4 or 5 months, depending on when in the schedule we could fit it in with our specific setup of the hallway sets, because we usually keep all the hallways completely intact. It's almost like you're in a real maze of hallways. Our set is very claustrophobic and weird that way.
You often get lost on your way to set.
When we figured out what the run was going to be, we mapped it out on the sets that we have, sat down with Jessica Lee Gagne, our cinematographer, and Jeremy Hindle, our production designer, and started to think about how we could devise a shot that would take Mark through all these different hallways, this maze of hallways that we've never seen, really, the route to wellness. And Jessica and I did overheads of what the different pieces of the run would be. Then we did what we call a previs, which is a sort of like a rudimentary animation of the shot. The visual effects team and us and our cinematographer, everybody, we all break the shot up into as many pieces as we need to complete it. We figure out, okay, for this part of the shot, there's no way we're going to be able to use a real set. We're going to have to pull out, all those walls. So we know we can't do that part until we have time to do that. So we'll do that in, in February. And this part we can do next week because we already have the set.
I always knew something was coming when someone would come up to me and say, wait, what was your favorite color of Gatorade again? And I would just know, like, okay, I guess we're doing some more running tomorrow.
It is incredible, actually.
And now we're in POV and he swings around again on the pogo stick, pulling him. Right about here, it's going to transition to this shot. So like this shot and this shot are different. But you can't tell because our VFX people made sure to, fill it in between, but also not blur it so it feels like you're not noticing that it's a different shot. This is all real here, and then the second we come to right here, basically here now, this is all completely CG.
That's right.
Adam's running on a treadmill on a green screen stage with no set whatsoever. So the camera can actually get in front of him, but he's in place running on the treadmill.
I actually had a harness so I could be running as fast as possible.
To match what you were doing in real life.
And yeah, and also just to not make it look like you're on a treadmill, because on a treadmill you start running at a set pace, but when you're running, even as fast as you can, your pace is constantly changing, and it's a little weird, little uncanny valley thing that a viewer, something would feel off and artificial about it if we hadn't kind of corrected for that.
Jesus. Yeah, it makes sense now, but like...
Now we're back on our bolt arm, and the camera's going to do a crazy spin move around while Adam is countering going the other way to create this sense of just like, where are we?
Now that bolt arm, before when I stop and kind of look around, then look the other way as the bolt arm's kind of, that took a while, I remember, to really perfect.
Yeah.
And also it really helps just to do it over and over again, because what I wanted to try and do and what I think we achieved was with that kind of whip around and looking, and then when I finally kind of whip around and try to launch off and actually start running, it felt like we really wanted some momentum to start happening, and to have me and the camera kind of both be in sync to try and launch off together.
And it reminds me of like like when they spin like a discus or like a shot put or anything like that, like it spins with it and then it almost like it throws him off at the end.
Wanted some momentum to start happening, and to have me and the camera kind of both be in sync to try and launch off together.
And the speed that this machine on the track had to have, because it's all motion control, which means the computer controls it, to really ramp up to your speed of running, that getting that timing right takes a number of takes. Breaking the shot up into different sections was really important, because once we had conceived of what it was going to be, it was really all about the logistics of getting the shot done.
There's a lot to shoot.
It's like, well, why can't he just be running down, a couple halls and turn around and then he's there? And we always felt that we really wanted to kick off the season in a way that would be exciting and fun and kind of give an indication of where we're going for season 2.
It almost
they could have done it really simply as well. They could have just done a load of static shots and made it like, like sort of Tom and Jerry like, where they just put the camera and he runs past and then you see him just sort of slide down the floor and as he turns left. They could have done it almost completely static and comedically and let Adam's movement be the main movement of the shot. But they didn't. They was like, no, let's make the camera really complicated. And I just, for me to add that in, because when I was watching that scene, it made me so dizzy. I was like, Jesus. But it just adds to the disorientation that, Mark would be feeling in that moment. It just makes it, like, so much better. I'm a huge fan of static cameras in movies and shows and stuff, because I prefer, like, the actors to be the ones that are doing the movement. But when it's stuff like this and it's so well done, I love it, because I think it adds this extra layer of like disorientation for me.
And fun and kind of give an indication of where we're going for season 2.
It almost felt like a side project to work on as we're making the season. Was all the more rewarding when we finished it. and we kind of had our own little rap party
Yes.
because it was like just a particular like a group of people broken off from the main crew to come work on this thing. And
Yeah.
so when we finally kind of wrapped it
Yeah.
up, it was really fun.
Yeah.
See, I have a question about this, because there is no way, given we know that it was only a matter of hours, if not days, between the OTC and Mark standing there looking at wellness, there is no way they've concreted that all in. So my theory is they just, to disorientate Mark, because they know he'd go looking for her, they just made another room look like wellness. That's my theory, is what Lumon actually did, because they wouldn't be able to replaster that and concrete the whole thing in. It would be easier to pick a room that's a similar size and make it look like the wellness waiting room. That's my theory. Are we going to see the person stand? Are they going to turn the shot around so we can see that person? Are they going to show us that person? Yeah. Who was that?
There's a guy back there. It looks kind of like you, but not really. I can't see his face.
So who is that?
The basis of this whole
You're not
story
gonna
is
tell us,
Mark's
tell me.
emotional life and his, trying to figure out how to become a whole person. And I think that's, ultimately the goal of the show is to, complete that journey with Mark.
Yeah, and the season 2 really kind of widens the scope of the show and widens the scope of the characters as well. Every character kind of goes through something new, and we learn more about each one of them.
Yeah, and that's why I thought this shot was important to kick off the season, because it felt like, all right, we're going to indicate to the audience that so some new stuff happening.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So I love things like this where you can actually just, there's no music in the background, it's easy to sit and watch, and it's just like, you see people that are brilliant at what they do, discuss how they do it. I love it. I love stuff like this. I really, really do. Severance is so cool, man. Seeing this side of Ben Stiller is fascinating, actually. I agree. I'm so glad they broke this scene down. I haven't stopped thinking about it. I'd love to see them do this with some other shots as well, actually. There we go. If you know any other kind of videos where they break stuff down like this, you can always link it below, or the best thing to do is put it in the video suggestions in the Discord. That's probably where I'm more likely to see it. I will be working my way through some other behind the scenes, cast, interview, fun stuff, all that kind of jazz, as I will be continuing with Silo as well. If you did enjoy this, do give it a thumbs up. If you like this kind of stuff, subscribe, stick around, there's always be more on the way. And I'll see you very, very soon. Take very good care of both your innie and your outie. Yes, I am going to keep doing that because I'm going to miss not being able to do it in silo. Take very good care of both your innie and your outie, and I'll catch you soon. Bye-bye.